I see it's 8:15 a.m. It's June 9th, 2026. I'm going to call this meeting to order and we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start with approval of agenda. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next, the consent agenda, approval of minutes of May 26th and claims for today. Any comments?
Nothing for me. I'll move to
Any other?
approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Next, we will take public comment. If anyone present here would like to address the commission, now's the time. Seeing
All eyes on top.
Come on, Todd.
not today. Okay.
Not today, no bombs to drop there.
And on Zoom, you can use the raise hand function at the bottom of the screen, and then you will be given access to unmute the mic if I think we just have staff.
Great.
Anybody going once, going twice? Okay, we will close public comment now and move to our general manager report with our new general manager. For anyone watching, if you're confused, this is Tony Hardenbrook. Welcome, Tony.
All right, thank you, commissioners, and attendees. This is my first commission meeting, and the start of my tenure here at the PUD. It's really an honor to be here, and thank you for hiring me.
Thank you for being here.
So, the last week started with a fire hose of information and turned over with Chris. Thank you, Chris, for everything so far. We've still got the whole month, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot to learn, a lot to become familiar with. Some of the things we've done is go over, all things water, all things electric. Done some walkthroughs with Kurt of Plant 1. And I've reviewed some of the finance information, but haven't had a chance to get into the details yet. Hopefully get to that later this week. And a lot of organizational discussions involving the staff and familiarization with trade groups. And that's the bulk of what, I've done so far for turnover. I think I'll be providing you a 30 or 45-day summary of where I'm at, what my thoughts are, maybe some action steps coming out of what I'm seeing. So, the next thing we need to talk about is a little bit more of meat to talk about today. And Chris, maybe calling you to highlight some of the facts and information about. We received a notice from the county of termination and recoupment related to the broadband project, and it's about $329,000. We have 30 days per our interlocal agreement to respond to them, and that's also summarized in the letter. Their letter pretty much follows the interlocal agreement requirements that are spelled out, what they have to put in that letter to us for notification. I do believe that we should, we of course need to consult with CSD on this, but we should push back at the county. It's my position that there are steps. Oh, go ahead.
Have we reviewed that?
I saw it came at like 3 o'clock yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't reviewed it. Okay.
If you-
So I haven't reviewed it yet.
Okay.
I gotta.
I have a hard copy right here if you'd like to look at it.
Sure.
Yeah. You have that, there we go. I think we should challenge the clawback of those funds. And there is a mechanism within our interlocal agreement that provides that for us, between us and the county. It's our duty to provide the language of that information to the county. And it's their obligation, our interlocal agreement, to push back to Treasury to to try to, have those funds set aside from clawback. Should the treasury deny that request, then we are obligated per our interlocal agreement, with the county to pay the county those funds. So, but we should protest that, but again, we need to talk to CSD.
I mean, we did work, right, you know, on the project,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right.
When did where did the money for this, this 300 something thousand, where did it originate? $329,000 and.
It was it was from federal grant, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's associated with the recovery funds that I believe that the county received from the treasury.
So if we pay them, would they be saying that they're gonna repatriate that money to the treasurer, or are they gonna keep that money?
Well, per the statements, treasury has to be repaid that money,
Okay.
right? If they deem necessary, right? So that's the mechanism where we should be submitting to the treasury an exemption for the funds that were expended for the work that was done and completed.
Is that federal or state?
It's federal dollars.
Yeah, I agree, we need to see what we can do to
Yeah,
not pay that money back, since we used that money for that project.
Yeah, I agree, and it seems reasonable since, you know, we did do real work. Mainly Andrew, but yeah, we, certainly, you know, yeah, all the preliminary work, studies, engineering, you know, we completed the terms of the contract, even though it has to be terminated early, right? So it seems like reasonable to request. Did this letter from the county? I don't know, was this expected? I mean, did they just, we haven't really had time to have a conversation before yesterday about this? With the,
prior to sending the email, they did contact Chris yesterday or the day before, just to give him a heads up.
Yeah, if I may,
Okay, go ahead.
Andrew and I had a conversation about this. Andrew brought it up a couple months ago that it was possible.
Hmm.
And that we didn't hear any more about it from the county until yesterday. I got a heads up from Kayla, which was good of her. And what she told me was basically what's in the letter. She didn't want us just to get that cold. And so she let me know. I let Tony and Andrew know that this could be coming. And then later on in the afternoon, it came and I forwarded it out.
I guess I'm wondering if, since they, you know, they've sent us this, official notice of termination recoupment. And, you know, cited our subrecipient agreement. As far as, you know, and contesting this, is there a way to? I mean, we haven't had time to respond, but if we, you know, all agree we want to respond and say, let's work this out. It seems like I'd like, you know, say, like, I wouldn't want to have to take the county to court over this, and it'd just be, you know, more money spent on everyone's side that we could avoid if we could, is there a way just to?
Yeah, well, I'm hearing about it for the first time, but here are the steps. It seems to me, it sounds like you've all started this. You review the ILA, there's likely some federal governing documents as well, if this is federal money. So those may play into what the standard is, because you always want to find what is the standard. And then there might be a dispute resolution clause, either in the ILA or in the subrecipient or in for federal regulations. Want to take a look at that. So those are all things that I think about in this circumstance for working through.
Could this be interpreted as that county's being careful, particularly in a tight budget year, making sure that they're not left holding the bag, basically? Would this be reasonable from that perspective?
It could be. I mean, there are times in the public sector where each agency on down the line wants to protect itself and take the steps that it feels is protective of itself. And so that could be part of this. And I think you have a lot of information about work was done, work that may be used in the future, you never know. So it's actual work that is actionable work if some contingencies are addressed in the future. And so those might be the ways to approach this.
So, I mean, as the next step, it's like, it's a response memo. contending that we shouldn't have to return the funds. Do we know if I guess we don't really, does the county, there's a potential that the county owes the money back? And or that maybe is TBD. Or,
That's what I was referring
yeah,
to.
right?
That's definitely TBD.
Right. So, okay, the next steps, I guess what we're giving all the head nod on is right, is let's respond, make our case and, remind them of, all of, you know, the deliverables that we met. Right? Okay. Anything else?
One last, for the meeting, for me, the good news is, we just deposited the BKI funds for $300,000.
Yeah.
So we should probably hold on to that money for a little while.
Yeah,
Before we do anything, yeah,
and thank you to Chris for pursuing that.
all right. That's all I have.
Great,
Very good.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right,
trial by
Welcome.
fire, love it.
we'll get through this.
Yeah,
Okay, we're,
Operation.
yeah, we'll move to operations report.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
We just had, last week, we had, our divers come to plant 2 to inspect the intake facility and do an inside and outside check of the screens and the underwater facilities, and everything looked pretty good down there. No need for any major repairs. There wasn't any issues, so that was a good result. We try and do that annually. It had actually been 2 years since we've done that, but so plant 2 intake is looking good. We will be doing plant 1, I think, at the end of this month, maybe middle of next month, but plant 1 is scheduled for the next couple weeks. Also, our operators have started doing the Grandview cross connection survey, and as you know, it's a potable system out there in Grandview, and so cross connection is basically if anyone's using our water for any kind of process that might cause contamination, it keeps any water flowing, any contaminated water flowing back into the system, and so we have backflow preventers and stuff. So our crew's gonna go out there and
just test.
well, they're gonna inspect every this is year they're gonna inspect every location. So the last time we did this was in 2022, where we inspected everything. Annually, it's just on a case by case basis when things came up or when we need to, but in 2026, we're gonna inspect every location, every connection. And so we try to do that every several years and get a good survey of the entire Grandview system. So they're gonna start that this week. Our certified cross connection specialists are gonna go out there and look at all the connections and make sure everyone's looking good out there.
Great.
So it's not just testing, it's actual physical inspection.
Well, anyone who has a backflow preventer has to have it tested by a backflow assembly person, which we don't do. They pay somebody else to do that test, and they send us the report, and that has to be done annually. But we're gonna go out there and get eyes on every single location to see if someone who didn't have a connection before or a backflow preventer before, they decided to start using our water in some way that could create a cross connection, so then we'll let them know that they need to install a backflow preventer. So that's why we want to look at all the connections, make sure that, see if they've had made any changes or anything like that. And that's all I have for today.
Thanks, Kurt.
Well,
No more questions?
No more questions, thank you.
Thank you. Well, we'll move to old business and beginning with the broadband update. Anything additional to what we just discussed?
Nothing new, essentially, other than what was just discussed with the county recoupment issue, but I guess I'll just note that, we're still working with the LUMI on, potential opportunities in the future for collaboration and working through the draft interlocal agreement. So we'll be meeting with the, LUMI tribe this week to hammer out more details.
Great.
Good.
Yes. I have a question, the bead awards, did they just, the port just receive those and have they signed those yet, or is that about to happen? Cause I heard that was happening soon, or it had happened, the bead award grants.
Sure, I haven't talked to the port directly on this, but what I do know is that the state broadband office has issued awards to be sub recipients. And now it's in their court, in the local, you know, in the port's court to sign the grant essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else, Doug? You wanna bring up on this?
So I just wanna be clear, so our approach for BEAD was to be support for the port.
Right.
And they had 7 applicants that I think prevailed. 7 application was,
Project areas, yeah.
yeah, 7 project areas that prevailed. And that they were selected for, and that now it'll be time for them to go and execute those agreements. So that's what I was referring to.
Where in that, where are those areas?
Oh. You gotta,
Yeah,
for Eddie's benefit,
Well, we should probably just.
yeah, probably do an offline.
We can
meeting.
send a map
Yeah.
that has the project areas to the commission.
We can do
That
that.
would be helpful. It won't, it'll be the map that was used in the final proposal to NTIA, because I don't have the final project areas and who the recipients are for each individual project area.
Commissioner Yuri, it might be helpful to wait just a little bit. There are things happening at the port related to their broadband efforts. And they don't have to come and give a presentation, but Andrew could, if it makes sense, could, get us an update on where things are at. And there's probably by the end of June, I'm gonna guess, I'm not asking you to guess, I'm gonna guess. By the end of June, we'll have enough data from the port to give an update to the commission on where the port's at, maybe in July. And that'll have probably quite a few new things, including an update on their interlocal, because the port's gotta weigh in on our interlocal as well.
For sure, yeah, I suppose I can also just check their agenda and watch their discussion as well.
Yeah, I did actually talk to one commissioner and it was potentially gonna be discussed in this afternoon's meeting,
It is, okay,
but it's not now. It's been postponed to then their next meeting in June.
oh, that's good to know, okay.
So,
Well, that's all. It's just good to know that, you know. we're still-
I've tracked closely. I'll make sure that the commission is aware of, and that, you know, I make a request on our behalf for an update. When it's a good time for an update, it'll probably be beginning sometime in July. But to be determined. I'm tracking it pretty closely.
Well, yeah, do appreciate you keeping tabs on that and staying in touch with board commissioners and but yeah, I'm just glad that there's gonna be
I'll request her
projects
for
happening.
an update from the manager,
Right.
respecting the chain of command then.
Get it.
Sure, yeah, we'll look forward to future update and nothing else on subject
Nope. It's my
for
update.
today. Well, also, yeah, we look forward to hear how the meetings with Lamination go. Adjudication,
It was,
we're ready to move to that, I believe we're,
Yeah, I'm gonna switch places with Sarah.
of course,
Yeah, just to get her up here at the table.
yeah, I mean, we have room for, if you wanna pull up
Yeah.
another chair too.
Pull up the chair. Yeah.
we're gonna see, we're here.
Yeah, so as Sarah gets chair over here, so, didn't know if there would be any major changes while I was out. I don't think there have been, but I think it's good to get Sarah here, who's more directly involved with the steering committee and the hearings. Just to get a status, and with Tony, This being his first meeting, I think it's helpful to kind of have Sarah here in person, so. Go ahead.
All right, good morning. So, yeah, as Peter said, nothing, no huge updates in the last few weeks. I think, as you know, or has been brought up, the kind of core topic of discussion in the steering committee the last few weeks has been a request from the court, from the judge, to have the committee discuss and come up with kind of a rules and process for perpetuation of testimony of water right claims. Kind of what that means is exactly as it sounds, is how to document or hold depositions of folks as evidence, basically, for water rights of historical knowledge, and things of that nature. Understanding that, as you know, the adjudication is gonna be probably a couple decades long. And folks who have been property owners or involved with, say, the PUD, who have been around a long time, kind of how to collect that knowledge and keep it kind of in a repository for adjudication years to come. So the committee continues to meet weekly, and has formed a subcommittee within, so I think it's 3 or 4 members of the committee are meeting kind of on their own to really dig into that and discuss. In doing so, they've been looking at processes that have happened in other states. Arizona, for one, has been kind of an example they've been looking at of how they've worked those rules, basically, specifically looking at it as depositions. So, if you're familiar with the deposition, you put out notice to all the parties, you come into a room like this, and you have that question and answer. And the idea with that is to give other claimants who may have an interest or in your claims to also participate and ask questions. So they're working on bringing that together to bring to the court for the judge to review and kind of give comment on. The plan is to hopefully have a final kind of draft prepared for the July hearing with the judge so that he can review that and kind of have a little back and forth there. On that note, because this is all public and folks in YR1 or the greater county have kind of seen that this is a discussion going on, there have been some other folks interested in the adjudication who have kind of brought up additional ideas of how this perpetuation of testimony might happen. One in particular, and this was attached to the last letter that was sent to the court with the update, was a note from Adam Grabley, who's outside counsel of the city of Blaine on the adjudication, and a point that he was making in his letter to just the committee was for entities like the city of Blaine as an example, because they have kind of lots of history and a lot of folks who've been involved over the years, is the potential for having alternate methods of that perpetuation of testimony. So perhaps not a deposition, but having a written affidavit or something of that nature. So that's been sent to the judge as well to consider. And the steering committee has asked the judge, do you want us to also look at this? And so that's something we'll look forward to in July, probably at the next hearing, to kind of see his thoughts on the matter and the committees as well. So that's kind of the biggest update or rule that they're looking at. Other than that, the June hearing was to be held yesterday, but actually was canceled due to the judge's availability and the fact that the committee felt they were still working on this proposal, and so they wanted to have that time. So next would be in July.
Yes. So I was curious about 2 things. One is about data storage. Over the life of this project, there's going to be a lot of data and need for data to be not lost, secure. And has that been discussed? Are there IT experts who are providing expertise on that subject for the long term?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think the AOC, so the Associate Office of the Courts, they are kind of on the back end working on sort of the technology piece of that, of one, how to collect evidence essentially. So, we have our claim filing deadline of June 1st, 2027 currently. And then after that, there's the 3 years of the evidence gathering. And part of that is how to collect and store all that information for years to come. In addition to that, there's been discussion of, like I said, kind of a creating a repository almost, so everyone has access to certain data that would be.
And will all the depositions be recorded?
I believe that's part of the discussion of the proposal of whether or not they will be, and then,
And transcribed
You mean
Mhm.
recorded,
like
So-
video recording, or
somehow?
yeah,
they would definitely be transcribed, so
Okay.
there'd be a transcript that would
Okay.
be submitted, so folks would have a copy of that, whether or not it would be video recorded is. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, people will, I mean, obviously, it's realistic to say that people will pass during this adjudication process. You can't go back and get a deposition for somebody who's
Sure.
not easily, who's on the other side.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly, and so I think that's why the court first kind of brought it up, and the committee's really focusing on it, because it is something you don't wanna delay longer than. Yeah,
And but granted, you're following, you're looking at comparisons of, for course, of what they did in other states like
Mhm.
Arizona,
Mhm.
where they conducted depositions, but it sounded like it's not yet decided exactly how they're going to do this.
yeah, so you've got the greater steering committee and then that subcommittee, so they're the ones that are kind of doing the research into, I think Idaho maybe is another one, Montana,
Mhm.
Arizona for sure. To kind of see how they did it
Yeah.
and compare and see what would work best for us in using sort of those ideas.
Right, and so as far as, who's gonna represent the PUD at a deposition, that we don't, I mean, that's way off as far as where we're gonna figure that part out.
It'll be case specific.
Presumably be our attorneys though.
right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I should do it.
Draw straws.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like Jerry Judy.
Yeah.
but in that, so there's the three years, so 27 to 2030,
Mhm.
where they're collecting evidence, it should happen in that time frame, right?
That's part of the discussion
We
of
don't know
kind
yet,
of, yeah, the court has agreed that we should at least kind of. There's a stay on motions and litigation right now while during the claim filing period, whether or not. This whole process is also stayed as kind of part of that discussion, and then, yeah, what will occur during those 3 years and even beyond.
And I would just add that, this perpetuation deposition concept is different than, I mean, it is used in the regular civil rules. But there's two different kinds of depositions essentially. One is where you want to depose an adverse party, another party in litigation, to discover and to test their testimony. And that's could be semi-adversarial. A perpetuation deposition is to preserve, it's when the party wants to preserve their testimony for the future. And so when I think about the 3-year time period, and Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong, but that is for all the parties to submit their evidence. Whether there is discovery after that, I don't know if that's gonna be allowed to test the evidence that's been submitted, because in my simple mind, if someone submits something on the last day of year 3 and someone says, hey, I need to test that evidence through a more adversarial deposition, that would be a different animal and may extend beyond that 3 years. So anyway, that's just some kind of way to think about it.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't think, the 3 years, that's it, because
Yeah.
this is huge, right? It's gonna
Right,
that's a good question.
so we presumably we'll have all our evidence to submit, right, or very early in that process though. Presumably.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. Certainly during this process of just the claim filing, we've collected a ton of evidence with help from staff. Definitely, they've been kind of filing that into organizing it in a way so that when it comes to that period, we're prepared and can continue. Yeah.
We'll be ready.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
That's all. Oh, thank
I
you.
like your earrings.
Oh, thank
Do
you.
they like antique tin?
Yeah, it's a gal at the farmer's market makes them.
I've hit her up before.
Oh, great, yeah.
Yeah, we might have very similar earrings.
Thank you, Sarah. And we'll next discuss geothermal.
Yes, let's discuss geothermal.
Tony, or would you like to delegate this, or? Should I delegate this?
Can I delegate?
No.
I'll take that.
I don't have
Yes, so, staff developed some draft comments in response to the draft environmental assessment that was issued. And those draft, comments were provided to the commission for your review, and what staff is looking for today is a head nod to move forward with submitting those, comments as proposed.
Is the deadline Friday?
Um, we're shooting for the 11th, should be
Thursday?
Thursday.
So, recognizing, you prepared this letter, on behalf of PD, we got a draft last week.
Yeah.
Did you all have a chance to look at the draft?
I've reviewed it, yes.
Okay. I was wondering about, cause not wanting to get into like the three of us,
Wordsmithing.
trying to edit Andrew's letter or something. Granted, we weren't able to, share any thoughts with each other before now. So, I'll say I thought I might propose some edits, if it's gonna be, on behalf of the PUD as a whole, if we're making that clear, or as far as how we wanted it to do we want it to represent just this is a letter from staff, is this representing the will of the commission, or are we just authorizing staff to send?
So on that subject, in our last commission meeting, we did discuss this, if I recall, quite thoroughly. And when we did, where we left it at that meeting was that staff would write the letter and we would be providing them license to do so. Having said that, if you have I'm just gonna speak for myself first. After reviewing the letter, I found that it was exceptionally polite. And I think that was a tone that I think we kind of set. I have an update, perhaps would be now is the right time to provide it. And that I'm thinking of Peter when I'm giving this update. I spoke to individuals from the Nooksack tribe, and they may or may not have issues with the EA. But also, they may or may not have time to complete a response by Friday.
Hmm.
So that's new information for staff, I'm thinking. Maybe not, okay. And so, given the fact that we may be the only there's a good chance, I'm guessing, that there will not be a second comment letter, and that we had hoped for a second comment letter. I mean, there's many comment letters, but I mean, coming from our partners. It may not happen, that might be something to consider. And
The second common letter from who?
Nooksack.
From Nooksack.
from our
Okay.
partners and et cetera. I'm with a perhaps a phone call consultation this week before we submit. If there are particular things that we want to make sure get addressed by somebody, that we could include additional language that's a little bit more specific and a little bit more clear about the concerns. Might be something that would be beneficial to our effort. I just wanted to carefully, hopefully I was careful enough in my language there, convey this, what for me is new information.
I was thinking a head nod that it's not new for everyone in the room, however, there might be a plan in place already to address that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we've been made aware of a draft letter that NUCSAC has been working on.
Okay,
We
good.
don't know if, what's been shared with us ultimately will be sent. Or if it will be sent in some other form, or, you know, we just don't know. I would still recommend, I really like the letter that Andrew drafted, and stands on its own.
Okay.
And I think we should get.
I agree, I also think it's time is of the essence, I'm gonna be really blunt, cause I'd rather stab myself in the face than wordsmith a letter this morning. But if there is something of significant change, to the letter, we did authorize staff to write the letter on behalf of the commission. If there is a significant change, we can look at that, but I think that the letter was clear, concise. I agree, the tone was.
No,
polite.
I think my new information was new for me, and I'm just glad, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of things, and I'm glad to hear that you are. Now, moving on, I kind of derailed the conversation with what I had to share,
I was bringing it back.
Eddie.
I was.
Well, that's-
Yeah, and so now coming back to your input, if you could share with the commission about what is, you know, the main points of what you'd like to see introduced in the letter that's not currently introduced.
Well, I mean, for one, I just thought it was like, you know, there's, the third enumerated point I thought was redundant to what was stated in the other points. And, you know, I guess, I think overall the message of the letter is, and the point of it is pretty clear that, you know, we want clarity and transparency as to why and how, you know, the no surface occupancy designations and mapping was assessed, because it wasn't clear from the public record provided with the draft environmental assessment. And granted, this is just a draft, and expect, you know, and hope that it'll be more clear in the final. But if the draft is all, you know, I guess it's still a little unclear to me if like does the final have to be issued prior to the lease auction occurring, right? So it would.
Yeah, this is a prerequisite.
Right, so, you know, depending how long it takes to prepare a final, you know, thereafter, then we would move into the auction, right? It's not, or is it something that can happen after the fact? Because the NEPA process might not preclude.
Well, I mean, given that this EA is out there, the, what's in the draft would determine whether or not you want to bid on a particular parcel.
It would significantly influence any bidder's decision, right? And so
I believe it's a prerequisite, and I don't think that you'd want to bid on a parcel till you had, a final EA. I mean, you could be potentially wasting money.
Yeah,
yeah,
And a lot, potentially.
I mean, I guess that's maybe something I would make a point of like wanting clarity on it, because again, also because from what they put on the, you know, what's on the website as far, there's a project page. There's a project page for the pending leasing auction, and it, you know, they put July in the timeline there, and it was like, it just seems to me like they're not, I mean, typically it takes more time between a draft and a final, and so I would just add something about that, just about clarity and more information, you know, just even if it's not outside of the EA, just from staff, right? I mean, I'm sure that they may respond and just clarify how the NEPA process here correlates with the leasing auction. And granted, you know, this is an EA on the leasing auction, not on any actual drilling activity or land disturbance. So yeah, I mean, I think it overall gets to the point we all agreed on across, which is that there just isn't enough. It's not clear how they got to their conclusions, and that's something that we should expect. So Yeah, I think, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, overall, I think, yeah, good job. It's well composed and it's succinct and I guess I just I would just refrain from, in our letter, trying to speculate as to what we think might be the reasons for it when, all we need to be doing is making it clear that it's not stated in the EAA and we're asking for that. And you identified all, kind of all the things that it might be. But yeah, that was my feedback. So and granted, I'm gonna be curious what other comments say.
Do you plan to submit a comment as an individual?
As an individual, I mean, I thought about doing that, but I mean, it wouldn't seem like it would be
Well, we can, it's
like,
an option, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's supposed to be
something that's in
written,
your
but
name.
it seems really odd. I mean, there's some points where I wouldn't recommend carrying this idea that, you have your speech rights outside of your commission role, but if it's so, I mean, the whole reason. I
Yeah,
presume you're interested is because of your role on the commission, that's where your knowledge base is, so it would seem odd to me.
To submit one
And to
yourself.
do that, that would be, yeah.
yeah, that's what I figured. I wouldn't want to seem like I was like standing apart from the PUD on something. It was more just like, if I wanted to get more in the weeds on some things and beyond what, just our general comment here, but I don't think it's necessary to do. I mean, I guess my experience in some of these, I'm more experienced in like SEPA processes, not really in NEPA so much, for the most part, but you can have like back and, you can just like ask questions in an email, have some back and forth, just have some, correspondence with the staff. Or go talk to them or whatnot and find things out. And so, and that's all public comment, but it doesn't always have to take the form of like like a positional letter, but I haven't done that, so. To staff, we haven't gotten any answers, any other, versus like directly from the Forest Service or.
No.
No. Okay, yeah, well, I think then we're all good with the.
Is there any
nod.
other geothermal update? Nothing, just this big,
Just this
enormous, yeah.
administrative detail, yes, that's includes the geothermal group.
Okay, well. We don't have. No meeting with no SAC. No
so,
joint meeting.
yeah, I've got an update on that, as well, is that I checked in with, Rosemary, Anna. Yesterday on the phone, and she's having, a meeting with her GM and, it's potential that they'll, wanting to do a meeting as soon as next week.
Okay.
And they'll get back to us. They're very much wanting to continue to do what we didn't, we had to cancel, have that conversation on geothermal as a whole, and specifically about funding and how to pool resources to do that. Of course, we got a memo from,
Yes, we did.
from our staff on that, so. Is that a confidential memo?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll talk about.
Didn't
We got a memo.
Right, did we want to discuss that memo?
No,
No, it's
It's
confidential.
confidential. I meant, okay, I basically, do we want to discuss when we're gonna discuss? Like, I mean, we're gonna have an executive session at some point.
And so just to frame that memo, we were building up to a meeting that was gonna have maybe some action coming out of
Yeah.
it. And it was a memo prepared in anticipation of that.
Right.
That, and then we stopped, but the memo was 95% done, so we talked about, well, it's things to think about for the future.
Yeah, helpful.
It's not fully developed because you don't know what direction this is gonna go. So when it's time, we could go into executive session to talk about, and they're kind of selected issues, they're not even one specific issue, so, but they're things to think about that I kind of wanted you all to be aware of as you get potentially closer. to
Yeah, it was really
something
helpful,
concrete.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. You guys are nailing the memos over there at CSD,
Yeah.
couple of good memos.
We love a good memo.
Memos are us.
Well, okay, yeah, I guess since, when we, come to the point where we have to make action and decide if we're gonna proceed or how on leasing, then we'll discuss it then, and, in the meantime, that's all for geothermal day?
Yep.
Yes. Do we have a new customer update?
Haven't had anything for you today.
So our meeting tomorrow, though, is going to be about this, correct?
Starts at 3, right?
2:30.
Is it 2:30?
2:30 to 4:30, but I think Eddie might want
The
to,
notice says 3, doesn't it?
there's no notice. There hasn't been a
Oh, we
notice
should know.
because we wanted to decide whether it was a go or not at this meeting, correct?
Yeah. Should we wait till the end then to do, is there?
Well, I mean, it has to do with. new
Yeah, new customers, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, yeah. Are we on for tomorrow, 2:30?
Well,
I'd rather really like the 2:30. Because long after this thing was scheduled, something has come up for me which starts at 4. And I'd like to attend to that meeting by Zoom.
I get,
So it would be fine.
I just wanna make sure my colleagues aren't mad at me.
so. Okay, so we were aiming to wrap up this morning by 9:45, which I think we're well on track to do. I think the idea when we put a placeholder for a special meeting. Cause we need to have a no action session where we just kind of workshop and consider options. So I think it'd only be worth doing that if we were, well prepared, and at this point, I'm not sure if our staff. Ready for that because we can always put it off and make time for it in a future meeting. What do you think?
That's a great question.
I'm prepared to engage you in discussions about it.
Yeah, I think it's all staff are. I saw some
Yeah.
looks. They're like, yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
But Peter, are you ready?
So. Yeah, I mean, because I've kind of said my piece to give kind of some parameters. And then I'll be listening, so I'm ready to listen and understand and to help with whatever, if there is anything for me to do coming out of that between discussion with staff and the commission, but yes, I'm pretty sure it's on my calendar. So I'm that ready.
I'm that ready. It's on my calendar too.
We don't have we didn't have a memo yet on this.
Not have a step on. We have your memo.
Yeah.
Which again was a good memo.
Wait, on this?
Yeah, new customers, and it's what we can do as far as supply. And how, what kind of exclusions are appropriate, or.
Yeah,
or
and
if
in
any.
short, the
Yeah.
staff are aligned with that. Right, so.
Yeah.
It's really, the commissioners are gonna have to discuss this.
I think it's good.
Aligned with us.
Right, I mean, it's good for the three of us to talk about how we feel about the subject. So staff has some information of how we actually feel about the subject.
I feel like we're talking and we need somebody to spearhead this conversation for us. Go ahead.
Can I just, what?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You're on your way out. You may as well.
Yeah.
So you've got a policy issue and then you've got the execution on it. And the policy issue is how do you treat new, large customers? And Peter laid out some examples. You can go look at Grant, Chelan, Ponderay, Benton, all of them have addressed this in the last 2.5, 3 years. But from a policy perspective, it's really new load pays for itself. Staff, go figure out how to make that happen. Or anything over 10 megawatts, bring your own power. Staff, make that happen. And then staff would bring back the solution to you guys. And it's really that simple. And that's where all of the other PUDs have landed, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. The other thing I do, can I jump in with kind of an extraneous piece of information here?
Absolutely.
We met with a data center, Andrew and I, this is, I don't know, a couple months ago. And one of the pieces of misinformation, perhaps even disinformation that's out there is around water use in data centers. And the data center that we talked to, I asked specifically, what was the water use requirements? And the answer was, it's a closed system. We're going to use air cooling. So it needs an initial charge of 300,000 gallons. Sounds like a lot of water. It's 15 tanker trucks, or 3% of 1 day's run for our system. And then once they have that system charged, all they needed was a small potable plant for toilets and sinks for about 10 to 15 people. So the water impacts of modern data center design with air cooling, closed water systems is very, very, very small.
There's no evaporative cooling.
There is no evaporative cooling. They're going to use, they call it dry cooling. And the water would circulate into radiators, which have fans on them, and so on and so forth. And they might use ground source heat pumps. There's all kinds of technologies that you can use depending on how the thing is designed. But the commitment that the hyperscalers in particular have said is that they're getting away from harming the watersheds wherever they set up. So that's a piece of information. You can object to these things for all kinds of reasons, but that one is frankly misinformation. In modern data center construction doesn't create water hogs.
And I think the most important thing in the wonderful memo is the importance to recognize we can't do an ideological or value-based exclusion. It has to be based on our utilities functions and our ability to serve our existing customers. So I'll debut one of my perspectives for tomorrow is when I throw a party, I sometimes might say, bring your own beer. And so if I'm particularly cautious, I might say, bring your own beer plus some for me. And so that's the kind of the approach that that's for me is really important, is to recognize that we have a power constrained situation. Regional production is something that we're going to have to do because we're not going to get transmission built quick enough. So one of my elements, I'll debut other elements of what I'm thinking tomorrow is BYOP plus. That I personally
Bring your own power plus some for me.
plus some well, I mean, not me personally.
So
For us, yeah.
I thought it was interesting, so Skagit County recently, their commission put a stay on data centers. It seems like a lot of the conversation around data centers will be settled by our county council, right? But it's a land use
It's a land
issue.
use issue.
Yeah, they
and
can
if-
make ideological statements.
Yeah, well, more than we can,
Yeah,
right?
more-
Am I thrilled to have data centers? Absolutely not. But nobody gives it.
But your county council members.
But I do know my county council members. And I can be nice sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, does that clear up our conversation? Was it solely on data centers that we were, I mean, nobody even knows if it's data or data,
Well,
What do you?
Both are acceptable.
you guys could have a quick discussion now and
Yeah.
land on.
I think that's where it's going.
Do BYO plus, do, no harm to other customers, do everything over 10 megawatts has to bring power supply, do,
Can't impact the watershed.
Can't impact the watershed, but I'm talking about just in terms of the power rates. You guys make that call. What do you want? and then kick it back to staff. And then our job is to bring back a proposal to you that, okay, based on what we just heard, everything over 10 megawatts, this is what that has to be. They have to bring their own power, bring their own power plus, you know, it's really a supply issue, but you do that and, you know, we'll work on supplying an interconnection.
Chris, I'm curious, you know, you said, well, we don't have to recreate the wheel. Chelan has a whatever. Are there any of these sort of policies that were created recently and in light of the,
All these are in the last 2 years because of data centers.
because of data centers? Okay, well, maybe we should take a look at some of those, before we have a discussion, maybe even at the next meeting, we can schedule some time to
Yes,
talk about it.
granted, I mean, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, I mean, we're not in a comparable position.
We don't have supply.
Well, one, we don't have, so we don't have generation, we have water supply, but I mean, we have a single electric customer, and so, I mean, there's just the policies that they have they just don't apply in the same way. And so finding like an analog for like I don't know if there is a good analog for, a utility like ours to look at.
Right.
But I mean, in some ways that makes it probably should make it easier for us, for the most part. And yeah, I think everything, all the list of the menu options that Chris threw out, I think are all good. And I would probably nod toward preparing, a draft policy that includes those things. Yeah, I guess I just want to kind of get clarity on like what we're, if we, this does seem like something we could probably just like devote a block, if we want to get more into it, devote a block of time in our, at a regular commission meeting as well. Like, I don't know if we need to do a special meeting tomorrow, especially if we're more time constrained.
But could we get a list of some of I mean, we can look it up ourselves, but it would be nice to see some of these other policies. Cause you're right, it's not going to be the same, but they are going to have language that's going to be useful, right? About certain loads, capping it or bringing your
And I think
own.
Chelan was very specific. I may be confusing with Grant at this point, but they were very specific that new customers will not harm existing customers in any way, shape, or form. And so that, that's a cost shifting, that's what they were trying to avoid. And granted, they have a lot of retail customers, so.
I think that would be very helpful. I think it'd be very helpful. I think what Commissioner, what you're saying is, we're wanting another memo.
Yeah, I love memos.
And it's gotta be as good as these memos over here.
Yeah.
Please.
And no, I think this memo is great. And to be clear, like, I mean, in entering this discussion, it's not like data centers specifically that
No.
this is
It's new
about.
loads.
That is just, I mean, that's that's the area of business that we're getting a lot of inquiries in right now.
Yeah,
But
I guess if I could say, for us, it's new loads above a certain a size, loads above a certain size, where it really starts.
Yes, to include existing customers. We can have an existing customer want to add more than 10 megawatts,
Sure.
right?
Right.
Same rules should apply.
That's a very good point. And I think a memo would be great.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I mean, so our BP, the stipulations of our BPA contract come in, right? I mean, it obviously would refer to, and be the basis for, our utility policy. There's that 10 megawatt threshold, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
anybody just super concerned about an impending energy crisis though? I mean, just given
Well,
the state
I am.
of the world right now where, I mean, it's
Or
great.
demand might collapse.
Oh, demand.
So it's an
Yeah.
interesting point, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
let's
I
work
mean-
on policy.
yeah, I
It's
mean, like,
it's kind of a cynical thing to
And
say.
everything's on fire.
um,
Let's talk about data centers.
yeah, for power, bring your own, obviously, bring your own. That's gonna be necessary, because if there isn't supply there, that's what they have to do.
But
That's a given,
probably
right?
we have to
But
figure out
the-
what that threshold.
I guess I wanna talk more about our water policies, because, I'm thinking of, Pacific International Terminals, and it was, in the, 2010 or 12, where previous PUD commission, approved, an increased water supply for that project. I think there was an earlier approval in the nineties, and then they, increased it to quite a bit more. And, you know, the project was, it was never permitted, it was never built. And since then, you know, the property's been sold to another one of our customers, and, you know, the county, state have prohibited such, you know, the use, but it's, we're still, like, that contract is still on our balance sheet, right?
You
And like-
mean balance sheet, or why did you say balance sheet?
Like it's in
an
our-
active contract.
Like it's zero, the numbers are zero, but we still have that in our budget, and because of, you know, contractual reasons, like there was a long-term contract signed with this company. And as I understand it, probably, the PUD couldn't say no, because, you know, you don't discriminate, you don't say no to customers. But, you know, it was a very, very large amount of water, that was expected to be used, mostly for the purpose of, you know, spraying down giant coal piles covering about 80 acres, to mitigate the dust, you know, which is like,
Was it dust?
yeah, the dust, because of course that's a big problem at Point Roberts, where everyone gets the dust on like everywhere, on their houses and cars and everything. Always get, you know, it's constant dust blowing, and to mitigate that, they started, you know, spraying water on top. But it's a lot of water to spray on coal. And then, you know, that was around the time that, you know, at that point in time, actually, when that was authorized, the PUD was, I believe, was still you know, routing river water to Ferndale Water Utility, right? And, you know, Ferndale switched to groundwater. There was, like authorizing that amount of supply would have impacted, not just, it would have impacted other customers. It would have impacted the ability to serve future customers with more water, right? Because it was, you know, and so that was, I'm saying is like, if there's no limit in place as far as like, you know, policies around, okay, you know, you might have the water available now, but if we authorize it all to one customer, then we don't have any more for anyone else. And that's
I
like
just
a,
wanna,
yeah.
raise a point of order here, that we're talking about new customers here, and you're talking about a legacy contract, and that's something I'm very open to discussing. But let's book the time to discuss it.
Well, the legacy contract's not a big deal. I mean, that's gonna expire. It's no problem. I'm just saying, like, it's more like a case study as far as like where without policy.
Oh,
you
right,
end up
for
in a-
sure.
You can end up in a position where,
I see.
all the water gets
So
allocated.
you're hoping to have the same conversation about water that we are about energy, where we cap it at so much per customer or what have you, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a policy conversation, so it's
You know,
not,
water is a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I would suggest that part of this conversation really does need to be an executive session.
It's-
Because
I
we've
agree.
got our rights that are perfected, that
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
got our inchoate rights,
Yes.
which,
For that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, so I would say that, what this new customer update under this, as related to our meeting tomorrow, that's what we're discussing right now, is primarily a power supply conversation. And I think that we should have conversations about water supply too. But because of the nature of the litigated environment that we're in, we should do those conversations in executive sessions as appropriate.
I mean, to an extent, yeah, but, obviously, ultimate policy, pure policy discussion and adoption would have to be an open session.
right?
Sure.
But, yeah, I think the question is, how do those policies impact, the legal side of things?
Yeah,
Right.
and do we wanna wait 40 years to have that conversation? That,
Yeah, we can get, we can provide something more, concrete, that similar to this other memo that is more specific.
oh, we're gonna get
Waters.
another one.
Well, I mean, it seems like that's probably the most efficient way.
Chair, I'd like us to finish our, I mean, the conversation on electrical power supply first. And then maybe later in the summer or early fall, talk about the issue that you raised, if
I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
Yeah, okay, that, maybe this is helpful to clarify, because I guess when I brought it up before, I was under the impression that we were gonna be discussing water. Policy and not just power, and I understand that, yeah, the complexity there and the need to, yeah, be sensitive to. Adjudication in that conversation, so if we wanna remove water from it and only, talk about power for the time being, that's all good, I think. Do you all still do you wanna continue it tomorrow then?
I don't feel like we need to. I think I need a memo.
Yeah, I think that what Commissioner Arnett, you said about, something that talks about what other people are doing. I don't know if there's time between now and then and I think that, I just want you all to know that it's come up in several public meetings that I've been in. And I've mentioned the fact that the PUD is discussing it. And I've mentioned that we have a potential meeting on the board for tomorrow. But I think the public would benefit from, let's make sure that memo is public. Or if we need to have a portion that's not, you know what I'm saying, if there's a portion that you feel like shouldn't be public, I don't think there is, but if there is, let's make sure it's, but I think the public would appreciate that memo too. To understand what other people are doing. And maybe the portion of what's in this memo that can be public should be made public too. In the GM's memo. If that makes sense. Does that make sense to the commission? Is that something that would be helpful? Is that?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, we need more time to get, yeah, well, okay, so I think from this, basically giving a head nod that, like the things that Chris brought up, we'd like to see more discussion of that in a staff memo, more laid out, so we can, make a step toward.
Yeah, I really wanna see.
Toward a
I
policy.
wanna hear more about what other people are doing.
Yeah, and more of, yeah, and an overview of,
Thanks for
uh,
doubling down.
what other utilities have put in place, because that sounds good, granted, if we need more time to prepare that word, then it'd be productive to have the conversation, we could just put it off, I don't think we really need to meet tomorrow. I think
Yeah.
This is probably good enough.
Cool, thank you.
Also, I love meeting with you.
I love it more.
Yeah, I did, well, since you mentioned, I did see, there's that emergency moratorium they put in place in Skagit, and
Mhm.
that's the kind of thing that's like. Maybe it's a trend. And granted, Skagit also, they did a thing like that on battery energy storage systems, for moving a code update. I haven't heard any movement from like Whatcom County to do something like that, and I'm not gonna, I'm probably.
Hold your breath and think it's gonna happen.
I'm just,
I think it's the
I don't think it's
appropriate time
even.
though, right? Like, it's the appropriate time to put a pause on something, to be like, okay, before we do anything rash, like, let's develop a policy. I think that's maybe what Skagit's doing, right? Like, before, have a plan, which I kind of appreciated that,
Right, yeah, cause yeah, I think, now that, yeah, those are land use decisions, and it's just,
Mhm.
making sure we understand what we're.
what our role is.
Yeah, and I don't think we don't need to, we don't need to engage in that conversation with the county, we can just stay out of it completely, so, yeah. Okay, nothing else though on our new transmission project, though, any news on that?
On that regard, we've been having the engineering firms been out in the field doing surveys of the potential line. And, we don't have the 30% plan, that's gonna be next month or still in the future, but right now we're doing field service.
Okay.
Thanks.
So things are moving on track.
Yes, yeah.
Good, good. We'll move to new business, Item A, approving an award for meter relocation contract to Whatcom Gravel. Do we have a report on this?
So this is the Douglas Road intertie. This is the vault that's after that portion. And right now it's splits off to the Petrogas terminal and the Intelco plant terminal, which you know being demolished at this point. And so right now we don't have any SCADA controls. We have just one meter, and so if we had a problem at either one of those facilities, we'd have to go back upstream to the intertie facility and close off that whole area. And so one of the things we're doing is being done with that water, it's a fire protection water for the dock. So this whole new vault would provide meter connections and valves for both facilities, and we'd have SCADA control. So if there was a large increase of water use, all of a sudden we would be alerted to that, we would know. And we would be able to turn off one or the other without affecting the other customer. And so that would be the main benefit of that is the controls and the redundancy of separating the two lines. And we've been working with Petrogas for a while. We have an agreement in place for their agreement to pay for this vault. And so one of the things we've done previously is we have bought the long lead time items, the vault and the piping for inside the meter, and so that's on its way, and so this would be for the install of the meter.
So Chair, I thank you, Garrett. I dug into it a little, just a little. Hurt. Did I do that again?
You
You
did,
did.
It was almost a whole year I got it right.
yeah, for
Almost a whole year. All right, Kurt, sorry. So I dug into it a little bit, just out of pure curiosity,
Mhm.
and, yeah, substantially better, offer from the, bid that, staff is recommending. And, yeah, I was just, one of the things I was just, curious about is it is a, you know, an incremental expenditure, but the thing that I didn't understand was that we had support from Altigas Petrogas on the, I didn't know that, so yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer.
It is, but I have a couple questions, because it's so, the like bids are so vastly different.
That's kind of what I was
Is there,
curious about.
yeah, have we used Len Hawkshoot
We
Travel
come over.
before?
All
three of
at some
them.
point in another, and they're all Whatcom County.
And they're all offer the
Their
same
statements of,
exact
they're doing
service
simple
and,
things.
I mean, generally, right, they are all the same services. I mean, there's some of them have different focuses for their day-to-day operations, but they all have a number of excavators and asphalt crews and civil crews, and they're working with the same suppliers and.
Same kind of equipment, they just bid different.
They just did different, they decided they have different labor costs, or, I mean, even though this is a prevailing wage job, I mean, it is. But
which is why you would imagine it would be around the same, right?
I know,
It's
that's-
a prevailing
that's
wage
true.
job. Like, maybe the other ones have gold in their gravel and we get like a.
No, it's, when an engineering, when a firm, not engineering, but when it bids on something like this. They're making assumptions on what can go wrong sometimes,
Yeah.
and
sure.
so, you
Or
know,
if they have a bunch of other projects, maybe.
right, how busy they
Yeah.
are, how bad they want to work.
Yeah.
Consider their calculate their contingencies.
Sure, it was just really surprising to see how vastly different.
that's what I did, but
Yeah. Great, thanks, yeah, it's a no-brainer.
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to,
Okay.
Save money.
and I'm all good with that. Yeah, I'm all good with the bid. I just, this is, the the portion of the work that they're covering, right? Are there other contracts that we're gonna be putting out for bid for this project?
For this, no,
This is the whole thing, so the construction and everything,
correct.
and then, you know, for engineering and all the various aspects of it, like we're doing that,
Yeah, and this is the engineering stuff.
includes all that. And is the electric connection to the new vault, is that gonna be,
They're gonna be putting in conduit, but it's gonna be our crews are gonna be doing the state.
our crews are gonna be doing, it, right? Okay,
But the contractor's putting in the conduit for the work.
okay. Yeah, well, that covers it then, I mean, that's probably, it's probably a pretty good deal.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make the motion to approve Ford RW 33 for meter rotation with the Len Honk gravel. And authorize general manager to execute the final agreement,
I second that.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye,
right?
Thanks, Commissioner.
thank you, motion is approved. Authorizing execution of the agreement, so we're going to move to our commissioner reports and starting with Commissioner Arnett.
I just have a couple of things. One of them is I hope my fellow commissioners have set aside time on the 4th of July for the 4th of July parade again.
Mhm.
Lisa and I will be working on a float.
They said they did.
Okay, we will be, have we talked about the float?
I wanna decorate my bike.
So we're going, it's a Lorax theme.
You can't throw out candy on the bike. But we have 75 pounds of candy.
Rolling backpack.
We need an executive session on it.
Anyway, set aside time and we could probably like use help intermittently, maybe if people have the time for work on the float, and I'm looking at you, Lisa.
Yeah, possibly.
It's an adorable theme. Will you tell them what the shirts say?
Yeah, so it's the Lorax.
You
so
were having
it's-
actual shirts made for the event?
Yes,
Just like last year, we had shirts.
we
made.
did,
Yes,
but
we
these
did.
ones are better.
They are better.
Tell them that.
Okay, thanks. So the theme is obviously tied to the Lorax. It is from the roots to the trees, we are committed to sustainable utilities. So that is the tagline. So
I love it.
the shirts, yeah, and
We're gonna have true full of trees.
truffle trees and a Lorax, and the crew is helping me build it so that it will rotate. Because we don't wanna lose to a can of corn again this year.
Yes, we don't want to lose to a can of vegetables, and we will have live children.
And we will have live children. Mr.
Yes.
Ensign is providing live children.
Mhm.
Like,
So,
live children.
We're pulling out all the stops this year.
Yeah.
We have cute kids, more candy, and more family themed.
Who's gonna be the Lorax?
Is that
Tom Eastrom?
No, actually, Andrew's gonna be the Onceler, but the Lorax is actually built. He's constructed on the float and.
So nobody has to wear an orange costume.
No.
Cause I feel like you
No,
want me.
no one's having to wear any kind of costume, except Andrew, who's in the truck and has AC, so, and his costume is minimal, hat, vest.
Yeah,
You do have to wear at least shorts, I mean.
True.
yeah, true.
Some shades.
So that should be really fun, and we had a good time last year, and, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going this year.
Good, good.
So I'll send out logistical information about where and when to be first set up, and we will be putting a lot of it together the day of, because it's difficult to transport it from here to Blaine. That's the most difficult part, getting it from here to there on one piece. So a lot of the pieces are, this year, we're constructing it so that it will be put together that morning, so please don't expect to show up at 11. Watch your notice, because we're gonna need a little help putting it all together before we get in line this year.
Yeah.
But we will also have child labor available to us.
Yes,
So
real children.
my child is transporting his children, we have a whole thing figured out, so.
Yeah. Gonna be awesome. I love it. And then just another reminder to go ahead and invite your Facebook friends to our
Mhm.
Facebook
Yes,
page. We've,
Commissioner Arnett doubled our following for us
Yeah.
over one weekend by
Yeah.
inviting people that she knew to the page. so.
Yeah. So make sure you do that as well. I
Okay.
know you've got people,
Yep, I do.
yeah. I don't know about you. You're not even on Facebook.
I'll encourage people to go.
Because I mean, Lisa's been posting quite a bit and, you know, it'd be great for people to have eyes on that and see our updates and with useful things too. I mean, she's not just giving shout outs to the commission, useful things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Well, it's the 250th anniversary, right? It's a big 4th of July, right?
Yes,
It's gonna-
yeah, I don't think in Blaine, we're gonna set up a fight club or anything
It's
like
not gonna be
that.
like a
but We
grander
will
than
have a
usual.
parade, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks for all y'all volunteering your time working on that. It sounds like
It's
it's
all
a
Lisa.
big project. I mean, I see, and you kind of kept it on the wraps until
Yeah, yeah.
this month. I mean, I didn't, like you sent the email about it, I didn't even know you were doing that, so.
She just sends me pictures and tells me when to show up.
Well, it's great. It sounds great. Atul?
Okay, so. First thing is as far as, last week I attended, PPC meetings on, Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe, and, in general, I, find a lot to agree with. The tone for this last set of PPC meetings is challenging for me. And it's not that I don't agree with the need to support public power, public infrastructure, and even on the most contentious issue, which is the dams, which, I consider myself an outlier for most people in public power on that subject. Meaning, I'm a lot more dedicated for, as far as identifying pathways for substitution than the average PUD commissioner in Washington state, and I think probably the two of you agree with that. They were particularly harsh at PPC and making a couple of statements I think I need to point out. One was a statement that was made, I believe on Tuesday, in which the statement was something along the lines of the state energy strategy was completely ill-considered. Basically, and did nothing to address the issues of, that we're dealing with. And I think that I disagree with that. I think that our state has, one can argue that we as an entire community of public power, as well as our state leaders, have not risen to the challenge. But I think in my reading of the state energy strategy, it was aware of the challenge. And I think that one could argue that the measures and excessive hopefulness about intermittent supply sources, renewables as the only solution, maybe emphasizing it more than a more mature, reasoned person would, in recognizing the current state of storage solutions. I could see that, but I think I really had a harder time in this last set of PPC meetings, listening to comments that I think were excessive. So I just wanted to share that, and then on the following day, there was comments made about the lower Snake River dams, and I think it's time for me to revisit that conversation. I don't think since you've been a Commissioner Uri, that I've been able to explain my position on the Snake River dams. we got a new GM now too, and it's important for you to hear this too, and. I look at it like an investment portfolio. When you have an investment portfolio, you've got certain assets that perform well and certain assets that perform poorly. You want diversity too in a portfolio, but I'm not gonna get into that issue. Because sometimes you'll put up with a poor performing asset if it's giving you diversity, because you're expecting that maybe that poor performing asset will do well when the other asset. But that's really not true in the hydro system. You know, they all come in, they all will do well or not well together. According to the most favorable estimates of the cost of power produced in the Lower Snake River dams, it's around $54 a megawatt. And you know where we buy power. And so that means that the other sources are substantially cheaper. Now, new sources, as we know from like things we pursued with Future Energy and others, are a lot more than 50, whatever. I think it's 56 actually. Then actually it's 57. Sorry, the latest number is 57. That it's quite a bit higher than that still. You know, advanced nuclear ideas are all significantly higher than that, probably. Solar that's shaped is significantly higher than that. So when you think about that, I think that we need to have a strategy to improve or substitute our worst performing assets. And to me, they're in the hydro system, the worst performing assets are the Lower Snake River dams. So does that mean in a power scarce environment, you just shut them off? No. But I think I really support, I've always supported the public park committee being so, be far less risk averse and to explore real solutions going forward that that substitute. And you know, every once in a while when provoked, I like to make this point. So they're the worst performing assets in our portfolio, the Lower Snake River dams, and I would love to identify ways to substitute them. Now, I've got my own personal crazy idea that is not vetted in any way, but engineers at the Army Corps of Engineers who are responsible for the Lower Snake River Dam said that they think it's a good idea that should be pursued. We can talk about that another time. But they also said my idea was too controversial to pursue and they weren't gonna touch it with a 10-foot pole. So you know, I just think that there's I needed to get that off my chest after sitting to the PPC, and you know, it's not an environment where commissioners are really encouraged to speak up. It's a staff JGM meeting, and I respect the decorum of the room. And I don't want to drop a turd in that punch bowl. So I recognize that. I wanted to mention a few other things then in my report.
Yeah, maybe something we can discuss later, because I'm kind of curious what your idea was, and also maybe what Tony's thoughts, but maybe we can come back to it.
Yeah, well,
later
yeah,
time,
maybe another time, yeah.
Yeah.
I attended a presentation regarding power supply, and one of the it was from a PSC employee who had some back and forth emails, and the PSC employee suggests, why don't you, me and Brian get together this Friday? So I'm meeting with Brian on Friday. If it makes sense with the commission, I'd like to put it as a per diem. But the idea is cost shifting through electrification of vehicles. So PSC makes a lot more money on charging electric cars than it does on supplying electricity to your house. So the idea is electric vehicle adoption in a way helps PSC deliver electrification. Because you know, and especially if it can be scheduled EV charging, which is reasonable for transit and other things like that. It's a real opportunity to help alleviate some of the pressure on supply. And so I'm curious about
wrap my mind around it.
and
So
yeah, sorry, and to continue is what could the PUD to help PSC with electrification.
Yeah, but back it up.
Transportation fleet. Yeah,
So you said they make more money by charging cars, so that helps us. How? Are they?
because it's a different rate, it's a different tariff. And so it brings down the home energy use, because remember, when you're charging a car, an electric car, you're competing with the price of gasoline.
You know, but how does that help everyone else?
Well, in general, if you're using an electric car, you're saving money per mile.
No, but
I know, but you made the claim that it helps everyone.
Even with more expensive electricity, you're saving more
I
money per
think
mile.
it sounded like you meant the utility, it's helping. the
Yeah,
utility,
you made it sound like it's helping the utility, yeah.
Yeah, the utility makes more money and allows them to bring more supply online. And allows them to essentially cost shift new supply. Support new supply with the EV charging load. And thereby keeping the residential load more affordable.
So if they charge
Second-
more money to like,
So you don't charge the same price for electric vehicle charging as you do for.
yes, I get that. But I'm trying to figure out how that helps everyone other than PSE or electric car drivers. Like, how does that? Unless they are charging more over here and then they're charging other people less.
And that's the conversation
Yeah.
I wanna have.
Like,
I wanna explore that conversation.
because they can charge people less if they're making money somewhere else, but
Yes,
large companies rarely do that.
and that's the reason I wanna have a sit-down conversation.
Yeah,
So
okay.
to clarify, you're gonna. This, okay, the subject, you wanna meet with Brian and discuss, opportunities in EV charging?
I don't think that's PUD
Like-
business. I think it's
I think,
interesting.
okay, that's fine, I'll do it anyway, but the point is that, I'm interested is whether we can support EV charging infrastructure in Whatcom County.
That question
And obviously,
that
we're
is-
not gonna be able to supply all those EV chargers, we're gonna need PSC to do that. And so I think that's a benefit to the community, there is a shortage of EV charging in Whatcom County, and certainly in certain areas. And if there's a way to do that where it's actually a win for the community, I am interested in supporting that.
Okay, but I'm not PSE, so I don't know how the PUD would be involved in that. I love the idea. And to be clear, like, before I ever had a seat on this commission, I was talking to people about like transportation and how the PUD can help,
yeah.
but. And I, you know, I don't see anybody from PSE here, but PSE is great, whatever, but that's their thing. Like, I don't know how unless
Sure,
we
sure.
have chargers, unless we're giving them electric, which we're not going. I don't see
If
the
something
piece
comes out of it, I'll follow
Yeah,
up,
okay.
I just wanna mention.
Yeah, I
And
think
it's good, it's really important for me, obviously, as another utility in Whatcom County who a couple years ago did a municipalization study, I wanna make sure
Yeah.
that. And I very much wanna communicate that we're willing to be partners and.
Sure,
and-
yeah.
And collaborative whenever possible,
right.
that's kind of.
Yeah, it sounds like there's big question marks over this one though, like how it benefits.
That's fine.
the-
I'm not, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I like,
Okay, so moving on, I'd like to move on, two more updates I have.
We'll have it out later.
Yeah, let's see. I have to make notes of it, okay. I mentioned that. Okay, I met with staff at the port, who got some ideas for us regarding funding on geothermal. So just FYI, I'm gonna have a little bit of a follow-up conversation and set something up for staff to take the ball from there. But there apparently is a European consortium that's very interested in applying technologies that have been developed over here. And actually apparently have money for technology piloting. Well, and they're interested in the Cascades for some reason. So I'm gonna dig into that, and I don't know if you've heard about this, Chris.
Tangentially, I heard parts of it.
Okay. So I don't know, it's
My
something,
understanding is it was a trade group that was ginned up by the folks that have that closed loop geothermal system.
Mhm.
And it's their marketing effort in America for that system.
Are they potentially helpful to us or no?
Yeah, I mean, so what their business model is, they go down into an enhanced geothermal field. And instead of injecting water into a frac structure, they actually zigzag pipes back and forth. Think about building a radiator system.
Oh, okay, yeah,
You know, 3 kilometers down in the hot rock. And then it's a closed loop system, so you don't have to worry about geochemistry and all that. The problem is you're limited by the surface area of the pipe. And that's gonna be a small fraction of the surface area of rock that you would get by fracturing. So while you do have a closed system, you don't have any losses, all that kind of stuff. You really don't maximize the energy you can extract from the geothermal field. It's not even close. You know, that being said, yeah, I think they've actually built one of these in Germany and it works.
They're
It
coming
just-
to the port for that conversation?
no.
Oh.
The Port Bryant, I think
Mm.
his name is, I may have the name wrong. He's aware of it, he had it, in a prior life, he played a role in creating that consortium.
Mm.
So,
I mean, I don't think they'd be bad people to talk to from.
yeah, so I'll make that connection, is all I'm saying.
We know about Furlow's model, we know about Quays's model, we know about what they're doing in Newberry. And all that is different than what they're doing in Europe.
Yeah, so anyway.
You mentioned there was money?
Hmm?
You mentioned money?
And they have money, seed money that they wanna spend too. So I
Back
don't,
to, we need a lease site that we
Yeah,
can target.
yeah, no, I totally get it, totally get it.
Okay.
Totally get it. Okay, and then the last thing is, I want to bring up is that, you know, downstairs below Waputa is an office of an outfit called, Center for Sustainable Infrastructure. I've had meetings on and off with them for years. They're doing a conference in Vancouver, Washington, June 28th to 30th. A couple of local projects are gonna be highlighted at that conference. Including the Corex project downtown at the Port of Bellingham. It costs $600 to attend, you know, and I assume with hotels, the total budget will be something like $1,000. There's no way I can personally afford to go without getting that approved. But I'd like to request approval from the commission to attend the conference. And that yeah, that's it.
It was what again? And
It's a conference called, put on by the Center
Sustainable-
for Sustainable Infrastructure.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It's you're traveling to,
Vancouver, Washington. I'll probably go by train.
okay, when is it?
To June 28th through 30th.
Okay, and you want approval today so you can decide if you're gonna
Yeah.
register.
can you tell us what the agenda looks like for that?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up. I've got a link on it. It's called the Industrial Symbiosis Conference.
Oh, right, yeah, okay, they have the office in Waputa's
Yeah,
building, right,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I've talked to the director there before, and they've done, yeah, I think they led trips to Iceland with geothermal and such,
Yes.
yeah, right.
Are there other commissioners going to? From other areas?
I have no
No
idea.
idea.
Okay, I'm just pulling up the agenda. There is a session on, Denmark. Two sessions on Denmark, initiatives in the Pacific Northwest. There's a tour in Portland. Data centers and industrial symbiosis. Another session on, Denmark and the Pacific Northwest partners. Legislative champions for industrial symbiosis.
Cool.
Then there's a panel at the end, your strategic playbook for financing big industrial symbiosis initiatives. So that's a quick summary of what will be covered at the conference. So what say you?
That sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think I think it looks like, yeah, I mean, in the lineups and panelists and the subjects here, it looks like it could be, beneficial what you might take from it.
Can you write a memo?
I will write a memo. It will rival the memo from the GM
Yeah.
and CSD.
This reminds me that I think it was this org that, I mean, they successfully, got like a grant, like a pilot grant program, budgeted through the state. That reminded me of something I thought we might look into.
Yes.
Might be a potential funding. Then, yeah, industrial symbiosis, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, ways to, improve, optimize efficiency in our water and energy systems, right? Where
are you?
my turn, is that right? All right, well, we went up, didn't mention, we went
Oh,
up
I'm
to,
sorry.
went up to Point Roberts on,
Thank you.
May 30th, and, yeah, that was, I mean, I think that was super, enlightening and meaningful to be there and connect and hear for a lot from, the local residents, and as well as, staff from, State Department of Archaeology and Preservation and the county and, Lummi Nation staff and
Tribal Council, Dana Wilson.
tribal council member Dana Wilson, and yeah, it was a great day, a great time. I mean, really, enlightening presentations and learning about, more, things I wasn't even fully aware of, and I've learned more about since, and, picked up some books at the library, but, yeah, knowing that, Point Roberts has, more archaeological sites, than the entire state of Washington combined. And also the largest, midden deposit, I think in the world, is known at Maple Beach, or in the United States at least. Yeah, I don't know, it was, I think it was overall, we don't have time to probably go into length on it, but I'd say it was,
I think that's a really
meaningful
good point to
connections,
make,
yeah.
though, what you just shared, and something that goes with that, if I could add, is the chief archaeologist for the state said that it was like, he said 100 times the density of archaeological findings in Point Roberts to any place else in Washington state.
Yeah.
That's like, wow.
Yeah, and so much of it already, disturbed and dug up through, development in the 20th century, but where where it's basically like, I mean, there's so many graves that have been overturned and disturbed, and just skeletons dug up and put up as ornaments and such, and where you don't even have to dig very deep a lot of the time to get into a midden deposit. So, long history of all of this where, now, there's just understanding, there's a lot of like history and reason for why there's stipulations about ground disturbance now, right? So there's but I think it was really enlightening was finding that a lot of folks in Point Roberts were learning things for the first time, and that there's a big gap, and I think public education that could be more effort to fill, and understanding that where the costs for archaeological surveys go and such, and but all the way, I think it was enlightening, and so I wish we could go maybe more time to discuss it, but there's I'm gonna say, probably need to mention county council, so, I see Pam left, I hope she wasn't hoping to talk to us before 10 of the public comment, but, yeah, because when I connected with Pam and other staff at BP about, along with, Councilmember Ellen Boss and, a couple other ones in, a few meetings over the last month. And, I'll just report, like, so last week on Tuesday, the council did like preliminary approval of comp plan language that, Ben Ellenboss had brought, which was sent over to us for review. They did incorporate the feedback that Chris provided. Expressed, they, called me up to speak to a couple things as it relates to, there's some added language about more like stipulating environmental conditions around renewable energy and geothermal development. I basically said, this is, would already be the case, and so it's fine, but, this could also be, some developers, I can't speak for all developers or all utilities, right? Who might see this as being, discouraging or whatnot, singling out, this kind of development, but, overall, right? And reminded them that, anything that we're pursuing probably isn't gonna be in the county jurisdiction, right? On, federal or state permitting, but associated transmission infrastructure, and I think that was key in some of the language about, supporting the associated infrastructure, such as, I think, not explicitly, but I think it was meant to include such as transmission, where there might be a county permitting role potentially, and roadway improvement and planning and all the things that would have to go into construction of new generation, in parts of the county where they haven't had that before. So, I think it was a, productive. I understand though that there's a lot of stakeholders that, haven't had time to review and respond to the language, and I understand particularly like the customers we have, where there was some language pertaining to, Cherry Point and such. Any kind of regulatory change could have major impacts, and they need to have like thorough review, and there wasn't time because there was only like, a week between this getting, even daylighted and being preliminarily adopted. So I kind of made it clear to council members too, that I think it's important to listen to the customers here and like the impacted stakeholders on that language. And we may be hearing, I haven't seen, comments back from them, but I think there will be. And it's something that I might engage on more because they're gonna do what should be the last work session on it, I think, next Tuesday, the 16th. They keep pushing the timeline back, but I think that's, the 16th is basically where they'll be discussing, I think, new, revisions from, business community and such, so. So that it's all, I think, but I'll say, generally, as far as the recommendation from the planning director, or the interpretation that he provided and advised the council was, the same as my analysis, which is that no regulatory change would result from the language, and that it's really just, what it does is putting, it's policy intent. It's adding some, statements of policy intent, but it wouldn't trigger like a code change or anything like that. And so, I think it was all kind of rushed, and this is the kind of thing that would have been better to workshop before bringing into the public realm, rather than having these kind of like semantic conversations and wordsmithing when, it's off of a draft that didn't get feedback. But overall, I think that the language is meant to be, I think the intent of it is good overall. So is one meeting and is probably fine. But yeah, there might need to be some line items, and I'm not sure if we need to respond as a PUD, but I'm just gonna, further at this point, but just wanted to let you all know. And you can check in the, the public documents and such, the council meeting agenda. They're discussing this afternoon at 2:30, but I don't think they're gonna be taking action. I think, yes, next Tuesday is kind of the last, I think gonna be the last comp plan work session.
Okay.
So that's all just going on. There was like 150 new revisions that just came in last Friday in a letter from the business community, and they're just probably going to discuss some of those.
150.
If not all of them, yeah. So.
Well, I don't exactly blame folks in the business community, and the reasons because if other folks are proposing last minute changes, why shouldn't they?
Right.
And I think the most valuable commodity we have in government is the public's confidence that we're running things in a predictable and well-considered way. And I just think that all these comp plan changes at the last minute don't serve us in government. in local government for that reason, because it increases the likelihood of people, not getting the memo. And, you know, obviously that's outside the purview of the PUD, but like it very much is similarly motivated my thinking on, the adjudication, why I really generally raised a red flag that we've got to get resources from our state legislature to support people's education so that they don't feel like they weren't prepared for responding to adjudication. It's like all of these things, you know, the average person is not worrying about compliance and policy development and new code, and nor should they be, and I prefer they focus on living their lives. And so when things are gonna be changed, it has to be done in such a way that there's ample opportunity for people to weigh in and you know, make time for it. And I don't like it when we in government, you know, and I'm not doing that. I'm personally not supporting that. But when that happens, I find that to be not helpful.
Yeah, and I don't mean to admonish anyone in this, but.
I did. Privately.
It's just, it.
Privately, I did, yeah.
It's tough, it's stressful when everyone gets a surprise and they don't have time to, you know, they have this tiny window to respond, and then that leads to everything taking longer, cause now you gotta. It's kind of, it makes for messy
It's
policy.
messy, yeah.
But that's, there's reasons, you know, as far as how it got this way, and, I'm hopeful that, it'll all be for the better in the end, but. Yeah, it's probably, the extent of what we have time for today. I do wanna open up public comment here as on our agenda, if anyone is remaining.
I had one, if I,
Yeah.
one last thing. It came up in a conversation with Representative Joe Timmons last night. I attended an event where he was present, and I just wanted to revisit. So the PUD is the one who initiated the conversations around funding for the county and the Ag Water Board to be able to support adjudication filings. We obviously quickly got support. It was a ball that John Zitkin carried. We got support from the Ag Water Board and staff at the county very quickly.
Mhm.
That money and resources has dried up, but of course the filing deadline is June of next year. And I'd like us to, I'd like us to consider continuing to advocate and to make sure that the funding continues. So if staff could identify if there is anything that we can advocate for to maintain continuity of support and funding for the county and the Ag Water Board in supporting the adjudication filing process, I would.
So
very much want us to do
John
that.
wrote a budget proviso, right, for the legislative session 2 years ago, which provided the funding for that. Are
Yeah.
you suggesting
And we
something new
also-
for this legislative session?
Well, I just want, yeah, I just want, yeah, right, yeah, I want those portals and resources to continue to be available right up until the filing deadline.
Yeah,
And
would-
then,
oh, he's got his fingers up.
I'm just gonna say, so one of the main question comes to mind is what is going or what has gone away actually in terms of, because I know there are still resources, so it's not clear to me what is going away.
Lisa put resources on Facebook.
There was 300,000 a year, if I remember right, that was
Mhm.
dedicated to the county's outreach efforts specifically. So they went ahead and funded that, and that's the funding that's now expired.
Right.
And what the county did was they went ahead and sub-granted to the Ag Water Board. And they set up a portal, they hired attorneys, they did, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 in-office consultations.
Yeah.
helping
I went to
people-
one of their,
Oh, did you?
they're exceptional.
Yeah, the reports are all great, so it was helping people set up the file. That's what's ended, and now nobody, I mean, ecology says they're there to help. But they're in Olympia to help, and, you know, the county's got no staff, no funding, the outreach they're doing right now is essentially at a loss for them. It wasn't anticipated in the general fund. And they're having to cover whatever they're doing, but I think it's very much reduced from what it was.
And,
So
and I
that's
don't
what-
want it to be reduced.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be reduced, and I don't know why I mean, look, I do know why, because we pay more attention to water than county council members and city council members. So I'm glad that we helped initiate this on behalf of the whole community. And obviously, I'm saying that need is still there, and I'd like us to advocate for it once again. Because I'm guessing if we don't, nobody will. And the public will benefit. And I want the public to benefit.
Next session's a long session, right?
It is a long
When
session.
does that end?
It ends
Figure out
in
sometime.
April, yeah,
April
late,
1st.
yeah.
The earliest, if it's an emergency thing,
We-
you can get it maybe end of April, so you'd have it for May.
2 months,
You'd have it-
Yeah, but if we know it's coming,
yeah.
you know, things can stay alive.
I'm just pointing out that the actual work that you could fund would have to be during next May.
I
Yeah,
understand, but
before the
if
filing
the
date.
county knows that if the money's coming, they can cash flow, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you and I love it, and also like, I just don't know where the money's gonna come, you know, like
Well, that's not my problem.
yeah, and it's
we can
not,
only
it's not
ask.
the it's not the
We can only
PUD's
ask.
problem, like, we're litigants in this lawsuit,
Yeah.
right? I think you're right, it was great that we worked on helping the community to provide that proviso, but I don't know.
Representative Timmons was very interested in the subject
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have been very interested if he thought it was impossible.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible, I just hear what he said, like, as far as the legislative session.
Yeah, maybe it's substantially decreased amount, what I'm trying to say, maybe it's not 300,000, you know, but what my point is. That if we can do it, if the representative believes and our delegation believe it's
Mhm.
doable, then the budget can be allocated in accordingly. Recognizing that there's gonna be a reimbursement in May. You know what I'm saying, so, that it's all doable. Let's not torpedo our own idea.
No, I think it's doable, but I don't know that the county's gonna want to extend money on the chance that it might come back.
Yeah, but again, that's
Yeah.
even something I don't want us to prejudge here. Let's see if it can be pulled up.
Okay, and that's up to the county,
Yeah,
yeah. Not up to us.
so I guess I should say what's the next step and I would like to get, maybe we can revisit our next commission meeting under the adjudication. Old business.
Oh,
topic.
what do you see as the next step for the?
Next step is to see if, specifically, there's Gary probably at the county could tell us whether it's whether it would be beneficial. And then, the similar appropriate contact at the Ag Water Board, if we can reach out to both of them and just see. If this is something that if we were to lead, that it would be well received, bottom line. Really, that's the question. And then if it is gonna be well received, let's get on with it. Cause we're doing it for them, not for us. You know, as an organization. And if they don't think, they don't value it, then they're gonna tell us, yeah, it's that ship has sailed or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, it makes sense. And I wouldn't put a lot of PUD time and money into something like that.
Yeah, we did before.
Because we had a legislative session that allowed for multi-years of money to fund something.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we don't have that. We have a month. But again, that's up to the county, whether they wanna put in, their austerity measures right now are not looking hopeful,
No, they're
but
not.
yeah. And I agree, it's so important. Yeah,
And I just want to say this, in terms of cost, there's a substantial community cost associated with unprepared people. And I like to think about the community cost, not just the governmental cost.
Sure, we all do, and but as a business person, I would not put money forward without solid. Commitment
True.
to getting that money back. That would be a very bad business decision and like that, especially in a time. Of
Like this, yeah.
austerity
Yeah, I
measures,
agree.
right? So, but again, that has nothing to, all we can do is ask.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot to bring it up.
Well, I know we're way over time where we'd hope to be today, so, we have no executive session, I'm gonna say are we ready?
Yes,
I
yeah, we
think-
are,
Yeah,
We skipped over public comment.
No,
we did, we,
You.
okay, I was about to open it up and
a
then.
tool
and
was
then it's-
public
okay,
commenting
We
again.
diverted, okay, thank you, Todd, I will open public comment if anyone would like to address us, now's the time, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate this opportunity. First, I'd like to say I'm glad to see the parade is continuing.
Yeah.
It was only 2 short years ago that it was just Jamie and I on a tailgate driven by Andrew.
Yeah.
So thank you. And I'd also remind you that there's a lot of other parades that are out there. It's not just Blaine. And so I hope the commission will continue to expand the opportunities. We just had the Farmers Day Parade in Linden. There's still some more coming up. There's I think something in Ferndale. So I'd encourage you to do something in Ferndale as well. So thank you for that. 2, I would like to take the opportunity to also point out that while enhanced geothermal, as Chris said, may get more power out of it. It also does come with induced seismicity, and I think advanced geothermal, where they use the pipes in the ground, might have less of that induced seismicity. And so I think I'm glad to hear that Commissioner Dishmani is actually looking at something that may have a alternate opportunity there with potential increased safety factor. Regarding the EV charging, I know what you were trying to say and how you were trying to say it. I'm not gonna go into trying to translate what you were trying to say. I just want to take an opportunity to point out to the commission that it wasn't that long ago that the city of Bellingham got EV charging grants. And then they took that money and they put in EV charging stations. And they actually started charging about twice what PSE was charging, but they gave that money through a third party. And so you had public resources of grant money being used to turn a profit for a private company. And that bothers me. And I'm glad to see Commissioner Dishmani continue to look into different ways that the public might benefit from that. So thanks. And then just in closing, I want to circle back to values versus priorities, right? As you 3 get to consider, you're not supposed to consider values in how you bring new client or customers on. But in this era of resource scarcity, you should be prioritizing where you focus and what you allow to come through, because that is what the community, when they elect you, they expect you to do, right? So economic development and or environmental impact can and should be part of that policy that you utilize to decide whether or not to focus on a new customer, especially, and I'll say it again, in this era of resource scarcity, both for power and water. Thanks.
Thanks.
Todd.
Thank you. Is anyone else, no one online? Almost sure we have, okay, thank you, Todd. Let's adjourn this meeting. It is 10:18 AM and
Record time.
we're not doing, we decided we're not doing tomorrow?
No.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
not.
we're not, so it'll be our next meeting in 2 weeks.
We're gonna get a really good memo.